Is the market open? Hey everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you had a fantastic day of trading today, or hopefully you were at least awake for most of it. The market was dead slow today. In front of us is the chart of the S&P, and really the big thing that we've got to look at is this is something that happens. You know, we've been really spoiled by the amount of volatility that's been coming in over the past, 4 or 5 months. That, you know, we almost kind of forgot what to do when the market goes slow. Like, what in the world? What is happening? It's taken 7 years for this thing to move anywhere. So we're going to be going over slow markets and kind of how to dissect them and really the best places to look for potential trades and kind of the best approach when you're dealing with these kinds of markets. And just a little bit of a spoiler alert, sometimes the best thing to do in these kind of markets is nothing. All right, so what do we do with this thing, right? What are we supposed to do when the market is doing nothing? From the top to the bottom, by the time we moved into the 11 o'clock session, from high to low, from 8 o'clock, it moved 46 ticks. There's 4 ticks in a point. That's a little over 10 points. That's nothing. 10 points used to be one swing in the S&P, and now that's the entire day. Oh, sorry, it did go a little further, 11 points. There's just nothing happening. So when the market is really consolidated
Benzing
like
market
this,
update, S&P futures up 17.75, the Dow futures up 318, Nasdaq up 17, crude is up 83 cents at 42.53, gold up 24.30 at 20.
If you're a trend trader and you're trying to force yourself to trade when there is literally no trend like we had today, you're going to get massacred. And that's just because it's trading the wrong type of strategy for the wrong type of market environment. Today is very slow. Not a good day to be looking for runners, right? This isn't the kind of day. This doesn't fit trend movement. So how do we approach it? Well, obviously it's a range, but the big thing that we want to do is zoom out first. You know me, I'm a big fan of getting our kind of overview and seeing where we are in the big picture. And right now, this market just rallied up on a gigantic push up for 2 big legs higher. And even then, looks like they kind of went for a third a little bit later. So with this amount of back and forth that we've got going on, well, usually after a big day, the market goes into a range, or it keeps going nuts, but we're not in that market environment to really see the market go nuts. So you typically expect it to go sideways. In this case, it took a little bit of time, right? They had a really nice overnight rally. That was at right around midnight, a little bit before, and it just went trucking to the upside. It looked like we were going to have another really fantastic day. And then it had a deep pullback, a weak new high, a weak pullback, another weak high, a really weak pullback. Look at the amount of wicks inside there. That's insane. By the time it finally came back up to the highs, everybody gave up the ghost and it plummeted back down. But once they hit the lows, buyers realized, oh, wait a minute. We just came off of a massive bull trend. Why would I want to get out of the position? So they start rebuying it again, and it tries to go up, lower high. Uh-oh.
Go, getting some volume here. Go, Golf Oscar, popping to the highs.
When the market's going
$3.50 on Geo.
Is just to approach it like a range with a little bit of a higher risk tolerance, and that mainly is just to get your accuracy back into alignment. When you're dealing with range-bound markets, they're very slippy, very choppy, and they tend to trap a lot, especially trap a lot. When we're talking about the S&P, it's like the king of traps. So what we have to be doing is allowing ourselves kind of the area or kind of erring on the side of caution in that we're going to give the stop distance a little bit of extra buffer to let the market get its kind of jitters and wiggles out. You still want to make sure the risk is in your account tolerance, obviously, still follow your plans. But giving it a little bit more wiggle room can save you a lot of headache of getting into a trade. You were right, but it's a range, and the market went sideways for an hour and a half, whipped you out just to see it go up. If you couldn't tell where my mouse was, I'm talking about the buyers here who got whipped out here just to see it go right back up in their direction. So how do we approach this? Well, first off, we have to know where the range highs and range lows are. Now, you can break this down into a lot of different ways. You could say that the range is this whole giant thing, which is totally viable. You could also say that this little tiny bit right there is a range. Both of those are totally applicable. What we're really looking for is what best contains price at the time. And there can be multiple, just like multiple channels. So if I'm looking at this as a range, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, assuming that we didn't have any of this price action yet. And actually, let's not cheat. Let's bump this forward so that's all we can see. When we come into the morning, right, this is all we see. Well, I don't necessarily know it's going to be a range yet. This could be a nice pullback before a giant rally to the upside. So we need a little bit more proof. But then we start seeing lower high, and now we're coming back down. Now we're going into the 9:30 open, where you expect the market to go crazy, especially at the open, and nothing. Dead. It's just, it took a nap. It barely even realized that the open happened. So this is pretty obvious of sideways price action. When you start seeing all of these candles stacking up on one another, where you've got that first candle, and then inside, it can poke out, that's fine. We're not looking at inside bars, but just generally the majority of the candles are on top of each other. Whereas here, we're in a trend, right? Here, they're all stacked up and they're just a big old mess. And we can see that not only in these wider views like here, but you can also see that in these really hyper consolidated tiny little ranges. I mean, this range is like 4 ticks, maybe.
OCN, Aquan Financial shares $1.46.
So one of the best things to do is wait for the traps to happen.
2 cents.
One of the favorable
Traders citing
approaches
a
when you're trading in a range is waiting for the wrong side
from last
to get
night
stuck at the wrong place. A seller selling a really nice entry, whether it's a second seller, a trap, or whatever, they're
company has engaged bankers to assist in exploring all strategic options
good setup,
to leverage our proven
those are the types
operating
of trades
capability
that you really
in this
want to
environment.
hunt for, because those are going to give you the best opportunities.
Controlling November, getting a
so
pop
when we're
here
looking
again.
at this, what's a good approach to this? Well, we just cycled off of the range lows, even formed a nice little secondary range, and we tried breaking out above the highs. Well, as a range, you expect it to fail. Every breakout is expected to fail, so you expect to see it roll back over. Here's the thing, right? It's a doji signal bar. Yeah, it's kind of a second sell, I suppose. You can see how they kind of double juked off the highs, and there was a nice little trap up there, but it closed as a doji, and they're all stacked up again. You've got 4 candles that are right on top of each other. It's a bad location. It's not a bad setup. If this was in a trending environment where the market was falling apart, that'd be a fantastic sell. But in this context, this isn't a trend. That's a bad spot. So a lot of sellers will try coming in underneath that, and they end up getting smoked. Where they come in underneath, they're looking for 1 point, right? Their entry, realize where this is. Their entry is at 0.75. Each one of these boxes is 4 ticks, so I know that the top tick is 0.75. I don't care what number past that. It went to 0.75. It moved exactly from their entry 4 ticks. If you've traded the S&P for longer than 5 seconds, you know that it takes a little bit longer to get your orders filled on the S&P. There's hundreds of contracts trading at each price. So we know right out of the gates, these sellers probably got in. It was a range high fade, questionable location, questionable signal, and they were met with a to the tick, probably not filled on their targets, and now they're underwater. Well, what do you think they're going to do when it starts coming back? It's a range. They realize, wait a minute, I just got stuck at the bottom of the bigger range. We're probably going up. All the buyers will start coming in above those bears, knowing that they feel like they screwed up and they're going to jump ship. And that's where you tend to get all of these bigger moves when sellers really get stuck. Just like over here. An even better signal, right? If sellers didn't take the doji and they see this beautiful bear bar, they're going to be selling underneath it. Now, here's the difference. Always talking about context. You always want to pay attention to context. Their targets are going to be at 0.75. Same place as the doji. The difference here, though, is that those sellers were filled. And that's even more important now. Not only did the earlier sellers get trapped, but they were met with the ability to come right back down and get the same trade. You know how that goes, right? Revenge trade city. Everybody's going to be jumping back in thinking the market's going to be falling apart. They try coming in, they end up selling the bottom, and it rotates all the way back up. So not only was this a nice entry, waiting for a continuation up as long as the low doesn't break, now we have another one where the seller's got an even better bear bar, failure to go right on top of our decision point from the morning brief, and then turned right back around. That's another area where buyers will come in looking for it to cycle back up. You're always waiting for those traps. That's where you're going to find the best location is when you find, again, the best setup, the best looking setup, but for the wrong context. You're trading a trend type setup in a range, look for a trap, and you're probably going to find a fairly decent trade. So that's kind of the idea of going into these range-bound days. I know they're slow, I know they're boring, and they're really rough to sit through and watch. But the most important part is that you set your times that you're going to be trading from 9 to 11 or to noon or 2 p.m. or whatever, and stay focused during those times. These types of days are the days where it's very easy to to open up YouTube, open up TikTok, as long as that's still legal or whatever's going on with that. And you're able to kind of get away from the markets a little bit. You lose track of what's happening, and as soon as you lose track, that's when the move happens, and you ended up missing it because a video on YouTube was more interesting at the time. You don't really want to tell your partner, hey, yeah, well, there was a trade set up today, I missed it. I was watching a music video. It's not a very good excuse. So that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you found it useful, interesting, entertaining. Hopefully you stayed awake today. It was rough out there on the S&P. NASDAQ moved around a little bit. As always,
BAC, Bank of America,
like,
hearing some
comments, any videos that you
online
want to have us do, or
issues
any topics that you want us covered, you can drop those in the comment section as well. If you have any
regarding
questions
clients logging in to their account,
ssftg.com, we'll get those taken care of.
Bravo Alpha Charlie, BAC.
Check out the free 3-day trial as well, and we can see how we approach these markets even when they're dead slow. Have a good one, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks.